Well, the fourth week of Advent's a little short between now and this time tomorrow. But I think what it represents is very important. I saw a story recently, a man talking about his mother during the time of the Depression. I don't mean 2008, I mean 1929. And during that time, there were a lot of people that were out of work, lost their jobs, very often didn't have their homes. They became hobos, was the term that was used. People of the rail. And he remembers that whenever they showed up at his mother's door, she gave him a meal. But he began to wonder as he realized what was going on, that how many people found their way to his mother's door. And finally, he found out that there was a mark on the curb in front of a house where indicated to hobos that this was a hobo-friendly establishment where you could get a meal. So he offered his mother to go out and paint over it. And she says, "Oh, no, 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 no. We want it just the way. We want that sign to be there." Just for your information, that child was Ross Perot. We want a sign too. We need a sign of God's love, a sign that God is friendly, that God is not oppressive, that God is not indifferent. We need a sign of God's mercy, a sign that God really does care, that God's involved. Years ago, there was a bumper sticker I read that said, God is not, absent, non-existent, it just doesn't care. We want a sign that God does care. And that sign is the incarnation, Jesus come among us, the sign of our salvation. That's what the word Jesus means, God saves. That sign, that presence, that human being presence, very concrete, very historic, very present. That's the sign God has given us of His love, His care, His mercy, His presence. Now, however, all that depended that we receive that sign, that we have Jesus among us, on whether Mary was going to say yes or not. Did you realize that everything depended on whether Mary was going to say yes or not? Whether Jesus came into this world, whether we experienced the salvation He brought, whether we experienced the hope that is present in us because of His presence, it all depends on Mary's yes. You want to talk about an independent woman? This was an independent woman. She was in a very heavy patriarchal culture. But wait a minute, I got to talk to somebody. And she wasn't a pushover. She has some questions to ask. It wasn't, all right. It was, tell me, how's this going to happen? I want to know more about it. But ultimately, she was obedient to God and said, I'll do what God wants. The reality is, God is present within us too. We are invited many, many times to say yes to what God calls us to do, to say yes to the presence of God in our hearts, to say yes to the power of God that is given to us to share with others, to say yes to the ability to reach out and care to forgive as we have been forgiven, to show mercy as we have been the recipient of mercy. The question is, do we say yes? Do we say, I'm the servant of the Lord, be it done to me according to your word? Do we really say that from our hearts? Or do we have all kinds of reservations and distractions and other things to be about? Or do we give a priority to whatever you will, O God, I accept in my heart and I share it with others. I reach out with your strength, your mercy to others. Mary is the ideal Christian. We're a lot short of ideal, but we're still Christian. And we're called to do the same thing, to say to God, to reach out in service to others, to be a source of salvation in our world, as Mary was for all of us. That's what we anticipate at Christmas, that Christ is born anew within us, that we mirror him with our world in the way we act, the way we think, the way we judge or don't judge, the way we forgive, the way we love. Be it done to me according to your word.